Degraded land is classified on the basis of productive capacity of the land. Slight degradation refers to the condition that where crop yield potential is reduced by 10%. Moderate degradation refers to 10 to 50% reduction in yield potential, and in severely degradation means that the land has yield potential is lost more than 50% of its potential yield capacity, productive capacity. Some causes of land degradation: use of agrochemical chemical fertilizers and pesticides, excessive irrigation, cultivation of high-yielding plant varieties, agrochemical and their harmful effects on land. Agrochemicals are applied to the soil for two main reasons, namely to replenish or replace soil nutrients by using chemical fertilizers, to destroy plant pests by using toxic chemicals called pesticides. The adverse effect of use of chemical fertilizer. Therefore, nutrients in soil have to be augmented periodically by applying chemical fertilizers. However, excess use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides leads to the following problems: widespread imbalance in the soil nutrients. Most of the chemical fertilizers used in modern agriculture contains macronutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium NPK. Excessive addition of NPK to the soil, however, causes the plants to absorb more micronutrients from the soil. As a result, soil becomes deficient in micronutrients like zinc, iron, copper, etc., and the soil productivity decreases. Eutrophication of water bodies. Fertilizer, which is not used by plants, is washed down with rainwater and carried into water bodies, resulting in eutrophication or algal bloom, leading to death of aquatic life. Health problems. About 1/4 of the applied fertilizer is not used by the crop plants and is leached down into the soil and underground water aquifer. The chemical which usually leaches down is nitrate, whose increased concentration in the drinking water may cause serious health problems. Excess nitrates in water is harmful, especially in bottle-fed infants, in whom cause the disease methemoglobinemia. Continued application of biocides cause various problems, which are as follows. 1. They contaminate food materials and drinking water. 2. They disrupt the balance of the natural ecosystem by killing non-target, often useful organisms. 3. The continuous use of biocides results in a gradual increase of the immunity of the pest to these chemicals. The biocides after a period of time become ineffective against the pest, leading to excessive multiplication of the pests. 4. Most of these chemicals are persistent and not biodegradable, and so they persist in the plant or animal body once they enter the food chain. Their concentration in the organisms multiplies progressively through the food chain due to biological magnification. Problems due to excessive irrigation. Excessive irrigation of soil may lead to waterlogging and accumulation of salt in the soil. Both these degrade the soil. Waterlogging. Excessive irrigation of land without proper drainage raises the water table. This causes the soil to become drenched with water or waterlogged. This waterlogged soil cannot support good plant growth due to lack of air, particularly oxygen in the soil, which is essential for respiration of plant roots. Waterlogged soils lack mechanical strength and cannot support the weight of plants which fell down and get slogged, thus become submerged in the mud. This results in loss of productivity of the soil. 2. Salt affectation. In areas of high temperature, excessive irrigation of land usually causes the accumulation of salt in the soil. This is because water evaporates fast, leaving behind traces of salt in the soil. As cycles of irrigation are repeated, the leftover salt accumulated and forms a thick layer of grey or white effervescence on the surface. The productivity of salt-affected soil is low. Plants in saline soil are unable to absorb nutrients and so face water stress, lack of water even when moisture is abundant in the soil. Impact of high-yielding plant varieties on leads to soil degradation. High-yielding varieties have helped to increase food production, but at the same time they have greatly impacted to the environment are man-made varieties of agricultural plants, fodder plants, forest trees, livestock and fishes. This means that the have been raised and modified by us by means various breeding techniques in order to increase productivity. The HUVs require adequate irrigation and extensive use of fertilizers, pesticides to be successful. Agriculture technologies for preventing soil degradation. Organic farming or green manures. Instead of applying chemical fertilizer for supplementing the nitrogen content of soil, we can use the natural process that involves the use of nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the legume root nodules. In addition to this, the use of organic forms of fertilizers such as cow dung, agricultural wastes also improves the nutrient status of soils. This may also help to reduce the excessive and prolonged use of chemical fertilizers and thus minimize their toxic effects. Biofertilizers. Microorganisms are important constituents of fertile soils. They participate in the development of soil structure, add to the available nutritional elements, and improve the physical conditions of soil. A large variety of microorganisms are being used as biofertilizers for improving the nutritional status of crop fields. Biological pest control. Biological control. The natural predators and parasites of pests play a significant role in controlling plant pests and pathogens. They are nowadays used by farmers to control or eliminate plant pests. The biological control agents of pests do not enter in the food chain or poison animals, and so are not likely to harm mankind. Biological control of pests is an ecologically sound alternative to chemical pest control. The cottony cushion scale pest Hisia puckersii is controlled biologically on a large scale by its predator, the ladybird beetle. At present some 15,000 naturally occurring microorganisms or microbial byproducts have been identified as potentially useful biological pesticides. Measures for preventing soil erosion and land degradation. A tree planting. To prevent wind erosion, trees should be planted in such a way so that they break the force of the wind. The trees not only cover soil from the sun, wind and water, they also help to hold the soil particles. Bee cultivation and farming techniques. Certain cultivation and farming techniques also reduce soil erosion. These include cultivation of land at the right angles to the direction of wind helps to reduce Soil erosion by wind. 2. The ploughing style. This style substantially reduces the amount of erosion. Tilling the field at right angles to the slope, called counter-ploughing in soil of the land, helps prevent or reduce soil erosion. The ridges that are created act like tiny dams and hold the water and helps its seepage into the soil instead of let it run down freely the slopes, causing soil pollution. Contour ploughing can reduce soil erosion by up to 50%. 3. Strip farming. His method is another method of soil erosion. This involves planting the main crops in widely spaced rows and filling in the spaces with another crop to ensure complete ground cover. The ground is completely covered so it retards water flow, which thus soaks down into the soil, consequently reducing erosion problems. 4. Terracing. It is another method of reducing or preventing soil erosion on mountain slopes. In this method, terraces are created on the steep slopes. This is another way of preparing the fields for planting and preventing soil erosion. Terracing is usually done on slopes, by leveling off areas on the slope to prevent the flow of water down it. There are disadvantages to terracing, however, in that the terraces themselves can be easily eroded and they generally require a lot of maintenance and repair. The time or season at which a field is tilled can also have a major effect on the amount of erosion that takes place during the year. If a field is ploughed in the fall, erosion can take place all winter long. However, if the ground cover remains until spring, there is not as much time for the erosion to take place. 6. No-till cultivation is also used as a preventive method for soil erosion. Specialized machinery are available that can loosen the soil, plant seeds and take care of weed control all at once with minimum disturbance to the soil. Since all of these aspects are taken care of at one time, there is less time for erosion to occur. However, there is an adverse effect due to this practice, as weed and insect populations can increase since they are not continuously being removed and so can compete or destroy crops. 7. Polyvarietal cultivation also helps in controlling soil erosion. In this method, the field is planted with several varieties of the same crop. As the harvest time varies for different varieties of the crops, they are selectively harvested at different times. As the entire field is not harvested at one time and so it is not bare or exposed all at once and the land remains protected from erosion. 8. Addition of organic matter to the soil is also an important method for reducing soil erosion. This is achieved by ploughing in crop residues or entire the crop grown specifically for being ploughed into the ground. Microbes in the soil decompose the organic matter and produce polysaccharides, which are sticky and act in gluing in the soil particles together and thus help the soil to resist erosion.